Hey guys, it's Chris and welcome back to another Marvel video. Today we're talking Loki finally. I apologize I didn't get episodes 1 and 2 done. Been real busy with the book lately, but we're going to dive into episode 3 and talk a little bit more about the theory going around about the quantum realm, which I'm pretty much agreeing with at this point. I'm on board for it and I think it makes a lot of sense, so we'll get into that as well. Speaking of the book, just to give you a quick update, if you've been around for a while, you know that I've written my debut fantasy novel called The Crimson Gods, and it is in the last editing phase right now. It's coming along really, really well. We have a cover design being done right now. I have the book description, or book blurb as some call it, actually done. I got it back today. So I will be looking to actually print this damn thing to make sure everything's right after the formatting takes place July 15th. So if you're interested in the Crimson Gods, head over to my website and join the mailing list. All the updates will be posted there. And also all these updates are posted on Patreon as well. And thank you to my Patreon supporters for continued support to keep this channel going through the long, long night. So anyway, Loki episode 3, really, really good episode, I thought. I think this is a pretty damn good Marvel show. I'm going to say probably that out of the 3 we've seen so far as Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision, although I do love WandaVision, I do love Wanda Maximoff and that character, the Scarlet Witch, I think Loki is going to be probably my favorite Marvel show so far because it's really getting into some cool areas as far as, you know, what's going on with time travel and all that stuff. And although I don't like multiverse shit, I think there's a good explanation for that, which makes a lot of sense in the Marvel Universe that we'll get to in a minute. But first, let's really quickly talk about episode 3. I won't bore you with a long recap. We'll get into a very short one and cover some of the bigger points here. But we picked up where we left off last episode when Loki actually went with Lady Loki, who we find out may not actually be Lady Loki, but I'm thinking she might be a combo of a couple different characters. So they go through the portal from last episode, end up on this planet where the moon's crashing into the damn planet, so not a good choice of destinations. But nevertheless, it gives them time to kind of bond and get to know each other a little bit, and therefore let the audience know a little bit more about this Lady Loki. But we find out her name is Sylvie. Now, Sylvie is also a separate character in the Marvel Universe, not related to Lady Loki. Her name is Sylvie Lushton, and she's also known as the Enchantress. Now, oddly enough, we keep hearing this little theme throughout Loki in the series about enchantments, and she does not have the same magic as Loki. While in episode 1 we saw all the different variants of Loki, they all looked like him, including the Hulk variant of Loki, but she doesn't look like him whatsoever. But the TVA has her listed on paper, at least, as Sylvie Laufey-daughter, as in Laufey's daughter, just like Loki's last name is Laufey's son, as opposed to Odin's son, which is why he has a different name than Thor, obviously, because he's adopted, and she seems to have kind of the same story, but a whole entire different background due to her being a variant. So I'm not sure if this is actually going to be Lady Loki officially, or if this is some combination of both. But in episode 3, she did actually say, "Don't call me that anymore," as far as being called Loki. She says, "That's not who I am anymore." So maybe she is some kind of combination of both characters for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or the TVA simply believes she's another variant of Loki, and she's just not really confirming she's not. So they finally start working together after they stop trying to kill each other. And one thing I want to say really quickly, I'm glad to see Loki actually using fucking magic. We've never seen him do a whole lot except for his projection or other things that he's carrying around and you can't see him. He's not actually carrying them in a satchel or something like that. He just makes them appear in his hand like he did the Tesseract. So I'm finally glad to see Loki using a little bit of fucking magic, because Loki is a really powerful character, and I feel like he was underused quite a bit in the main MCU movies. But the other major thing we learned during this episode when they're having this conversation on this planet as they try to get to this arc on the train, because of course he broke the damn garage door opener, is that the TVA is in fact a big fucking lie. So anyway, Sylvie and Loki are on this planet. They try to get to this arc, this so-called arc, to get off the damn planet before the moon crashes and destroys everybody and everything. There are no survivors. And of course, it gets blown up in the process, so their only option here next episode is likely going to be for the TVA to come try to bail them out or whatever, since they don't have a working beeper. But the biggest takeaway from this episode was what I thought since the first episode came out. The TVA is not what it seems to be, which gets into this theory we'll talk about in just a minute. We find out from Sylvie that all the people working for the TVA are actually variants themselves, and they just don't know it. Now, they believe they were born there, and that's their purpose and all that, but essentially they are slaves to these so-called timekeepers, which I'm starting to doubt exist in the first place, which we'll get into in just a second. So overall in this episode, I thought it was pretty good. You know, you got Loki and Sylvie getting to know each other a lot better. You know, you got the whole idea of her being Sylvie, a separate character, the Enchantress, or is she in fact Lady Loki, or does TVA just think she is? And she's, of course, not completely coming out and saying who she actually is because she doesn't completely trust Loki yet, or anybody else for that matter. And as I said in the beginning, I don't like the alternate universe stuff as far as time travel. I do like time travel, but not the alternate universe stuff, because I didn't like the idea when he came across the Infinity Stones and they didn't work there and they had no meaning there. It seemed to undermine everything we'd ever seen in the MCU for the past 12 years. So Thanos didn't mean anything. If there's this written timeline where there's no real free will and it's a predetermined outcome, there's really no point in any of this shit. So it doesn't matter what any particular character does to save the damn world. What's the point of the Sorcerer Supreme? What's the point of Doctor Strange? What's the point of the Avengers saving the damn world or the universe if Thanos has no power anyway? So this theory we're going to talk about really addresses that in a cool way and actually sets up another movie just like we saw from the previous Marvel shows. So we had Falcon and Winter Soldier set up the next Captain America. We had WandaVision setting up Doctor Strange and the multiverse of madness. I guess I could actually put an effect on that, but I'm too lazy. And I think this one will set up Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantum Mania. Mania. Jesus. Sorry. So to jump into this theory about the quantum realm, we have the Time Variance Authority, which, we all wonder where the hell this place is because, hey, time works differently here, as we've heard several times throughout several movies, which adds to this damn theory. And Morbius tells Loki that in episode 1 in the setup episode, hey, I don't know how long I've been here, time works differently here. And damn sure we've heard this before in the MCU. So in the comics, the TVA is located in what's called the Null Time Zone. It's a place outside of space and time in its own little realm, essentially another dimension. But in the MCU, we already have another dimension, and that is called the Quantum Realm that we saw originally in Ant-Man and Wasp. And of course, Ant-Man being kind of a smaller side movie in the MCU as opposed to the main characters and all that stuff, which is understandable, the story in Ant-Man and Wasp still had a huge role to play, obviously in Endgame, when they used the quantum realm to time travel, when Tony Stark solved, or rather learned, time travel with the Mobius strip, I might add. And they had to go back in time to grab the Infinity Stones so they could come back to the present and snap everybody back into existence. You guys know how it all ended. But we did get a good shot of the TVA as far as when Owen Wilson's character Mobius was telling Loki about the place or whatever, and we see the shot of the city. And we may have seen this before. Remember Scott Lang when he was stuck in the quantum realm in Ant-Man and Wasp, we saw a quick city of this picture here, a little tiny city in a bubble. Now this doesn't exactly look like the TVA we saw from their perspective anyway, but it could be from a different perspective, from a far out distance. This city or TVA could be located in the quantum realm, and as we know, time doesn't work the same there. Scott Lang went into the quantum realm and got stuck for 5 years, but to him it was only 5 hours. Now this city also looks like a city from the comics called Kannapolis, which was a city created by who's known as Kang the Conqueror, where he collects artifacts throughout history. Now Kang the Conqueror is a long-established villain in the Marvel Universe. He originally appeared in Fantastic Four, but he's already been cast in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and will be played by Jonathan Majors. And not to get into a whole Kang backstory here, but really quickly, he was a man named Nathaniel Richards, and he was always obsessed with time travel and discovered time travel technology invented by Victor Von Doom, otherwise known as Dr. Doom. So anyway, Nathaniel Richards ends up traveling through time all over the place and ends up becoming Kang the Conqueror, and even eventually goes back to ancient Egypt becoming a pharaoh, and ends up naming an heir while he was an Egyptian pharaoh, being the guy that would become the first mutant, Apocalypse. Now, of course, this could all happen differently than it does in the comics, and I'm sure it will, but I think this city could be actually the TVA or Kannapolis, as we get the revelation that there are no actual timekeepers because nobody's actually met them. Remember, Morbius says he hadn't even met them himself, and he's been there for a long time, supposedly. But I think it's possible that Kang the Conqueror could be running the whole entire damn show, and this whole thing's taking place in the quantum realm, which will make sense in the fact that physics, quantum mechanics, magic, and all that stuff doesn't work there. Therefore, they have all these versions of Infinity Stones, all that good stuff as well, that are essentially just paperweights. So just like confirmed in Loki Episode 3, people that work there are actually other variants themselves, just like Loki and Sylvie are from the real world, our universe, the one that matters, the one where Infinity Stones and magic actually mean something. And they're all living under this illusion that they have this set timeline, that they're, have this great purpose of controlling this sacred timeline by the so-called timekeepers. Because having an MCU where there's a predetermined timeline where everything is already written just takes the fun out of everything. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. What did you think of Loki Episode 3 and 1 and 2 for that matter, since I missed the past couple weeks? And what do you think about this theory about the TVA or Kannapolis or whatever it's going to be being in the quantum realm itself, and Kang the Conqueror is the guy behind the scenes? This would actually set up Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania pretty damn good in my opinion. As usual, thank you for all the support, especially you guys on Patreon, and a huge shout out to my executive Patreon SmokeScreen producers. And if you dig what I do here, please give these videos a like, comment, and a share. And of course, be sure to subscribe to get everything and click that notification bell so you're notified when I drop a new video. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.